earth is crying. Can't you hear the sound? The animals whisper their pain all around. It's time for love, for kindness to grow. Let's sow the seeds, let compassion show. Go vegan, go peace, let the world unite. Under the stars, in the moon's soft light, respect all lives, let harmony reign. A kinder world where love sustains. The fields are lush, the rivers run free. Life's a
Veganism can be traced as far back as the year 2000 years ago. No, 2000 BCE. Yes, that's before the Common Era. This is a year associated to the birth of Jesus Christ. So veganism has been far back. I think if you calculate up to now, that's like 400,000 years ago. So, but why I'm saying this is because far back as then, before Christianity and other trendy or famous religion, we had the Buddhism and the Jainism and Hinduism. Those were the early traces of religion that practice veganism, even though as at then the word that was used wasn't called veganism. They practiced it. And they believed in this word called the hamisan, that is avoiding all forms of cruelty towards sentient beings or animal, to be precise. So they had practiced this. And in Africa, we could trace it as far back as, let me use Nigeria so that we can relate properly. We can trace it as far back as in the Yoruba land, that's the Yoruba tradition. You could trace veganism far back as then, where even during when they carried out their rituals, they would usually appease the gods with the food of the land, the foods that the gods had given them. That's the yam, the red oil, or even the akara, the popularly known as bean cake. You know, they usually appease their gods with those food, and those foods are actually associated and called the foods of the gods. Even when carrying out their rituals and their cultural activities too, they implement the idea of using fruits and other vegetable items to, you know, feed their gods or appease their gods. Even though I wouldn't want to sound too traditional, unfortunately, if you're tracing anything that has to do with African history, ancestral history, you cannot avoid the aspect of tradition. Even though I wouldn't want to you know, take things up from spiritual perspective, because people have their different ideologies, but if we're doing the tracing, we could trace it as far back as then. And if you look at the Yoruba tradition, you would find that when it comes to healing and well living, they had associated the use of herbs and plants for healing. The Yoruba word that is commonly used is agbo. When they say, okay, come and take agbo.
Agbo, I know that one.
So it has gone as far back as that. You know, it has been practiced, and so they believe when you want to heal, you should abstain from anything unclean. Even in Kenya, there's this practice some Orthodox churches practice. They fast for like 200 days in a year, and during this period they abstain from anything that has to do with dairy products or animal consumption in general. This is in a way of cleansing themselves. So there is this belief that, okay, when you're trying to cleanse yourself, you need to stay away from anything that has to do with blood. So when it comes to purification, these plant-based ideas or consumption have always been in practice in Africa. So that's why originally when people talk about veganism, people always say African is vegan, because this is part of us. So that's how far I can trace it historically. Yeah. I would say, if you look at it currently, we now have other forms of veganism, reasons as to why people, go vegan: for the environment, for ethics, for health, for spiritual benefit. But if you want to go back in time, people practice veganism for spiritual reasons. This is because our spiritual homes or platforms are usually the place where we get to learn stuff. Our lifestyle sometimes, or most times, is actually coined from our spiritual background. So the early stage, people did that for spiritual reasons. Like if you trace as far back as the Pythagoreans, those that practice veganism, that was even still before Christ. They had the idea that all souls are one, and the whole idea of veganism is to align with nature. So when you hurt animals or consume them, you are going against nature. So these things were thought by Pythagoras to the Pythagoreans. Right. So they actually learned this from their religious worship centers. So you can boldly say veganism has a major history with spirituality. However, with the evolving of global warming, people now have other reasons to go vegan. We've got documentaries, research is coming up, to give people other reasons and benefits as to why they can go vegan. So yes, I can say there are other reasons as to why people go vegan, not just for ethics or empathy alone.
Break the chains, let the cruelty cease.